Hello, my name is Aruna Tuladar. Today we are going to do our presentation on the topic, is it possible to help children with trauma? And today we are going to cover what is child trauma, what the type of trauma, prevention methods, and at last conclusion. Basically, what is child trauma? When a child feels intensely threatened by an event he or she is involved in or witness, we call that event a trauma. There is a range of traumatic events or trauma types to which children and adolescents can be exposed. And there are various types of traumas such as bullying, community violence, complex trauma, disaster, domestic violence, early childhood trauma, medical trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, etc. So now I would like to welcome Cassandra, our another partner, to continue our presentation.
Thank you very much, Aruna. So we are going to talk about bullying. Bullying is a deliberate and unsolicited action that occurs with the intent of inflicting social. So bullying could happen socially, by internet, by friends, face-to-face. So one way we can prevent bullying is just by having close monitoring by parents to their children and giving access to technology in a proper age and making sure that they have specific times to use it, and then as parents that we watch our kids, who are their friends and everything. Next type of abuse that we would like to talk about is community violence. This is when a child gets exposed to violence from the community. Sometimes kids could pick up violent activities. Then again, as interventions for this as well, one thing is to have close monitoring of your children, and especially which friends they have around them. And from such a young age, it is good to treat them for their good behaviors and punish them for their bad behavior so they know what is right and wrong. Next is domestic violence. This is a type of abuse because parents' violence can actually influence on kids' performance in life. So intimate partner violence, also referred to as domestic violence, is an issue these days in Australia for kids to actually become homeless as well. And the following interventions for children who experience post-traumatic reactions due to all this have been developed by the Child Development Community Policing Program. So one step is a secondary prevention that provides crisis intervention and follow-up community and clinical and collaborative interventions for exposed children. These types of programs come to door. They go to houses and they monitor their children, their parents' activities, and how are they doing well with their kids, if they're sending them to school or not. They assess all that. So next we would like to talk about the other parts of therapies that we can use. We have trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy, and also we have structured psychotherapy for adolescents responding to chronic stress. And talking about our next type of abuse, we have early childhood trauma. This could also occur by parents, especially children from 1 to 6. You got to monitor their experience with parents as well as friends around them. And next type of trauma is medical trauma. You don't really think about these, but for pediatrics, medical trauma could lead to really long-time stress in their life because they don't know what they are getting done, because they're not capable of giving consent. So sometimes medical treatments can be traumatic to our little kids. And the other type of trauma or abuse that we can talk about is sexual abuse. This could occur to a child from such a young age until now, or how old you are, it doesn't matter. You got to monitor your children's environment, especially not even your friends, your relatives as well. You got to make sure who your friends are with, where they're going, what they're doing, and all that. Physical abuse, when a parent and caregiver commits an act that results in physical injury to a child, that is known as physical abuse. This may occur when a parent trying to punish a kid when they don't know to what extent they should be punishing their kids. Usually in this country, you cannot hit a kid above their waist. So if you want to smack, it has to go below their waist. Next type of interventions that we're going to talk about is all these interventions are going to help children with sexual abuse and assault. So they've come up with problematic sexual behavior, cognitive behavioral therapy for school-aged children. This is family orientated. This concentrates on a child's cognitive behavioral and their psychology in regards to sex, how they want to behave around as a teenager, and all that. So the other method has come up for sexual abuse and assault is risk reduction through family therapy. This involves parents again, adolescents especially, because if kids have traumatic experiences as children, that could lead to depression, post-traumatic stress disorders. This is not very nice and fancy for their developing as a kid. So these kind of therapies can be used to prevent our traumas in our kids. And luckily, last we have trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy again. This is an evidence-based treatment for children, which are used to help parents and families and children to come out from their traumatic disorders. So finally, I would like to hand it over to Rachel to conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, friends. I would like to thank Aruna and Cassandra for such a nice presentation. And I'm just going to conclude the whole presentation in some minutes. So a trauma can occur to anybody from childhood, and as we are talking about childhood trauma, so there are different types of childhood traumas. So in conclusion, a traumatic event is frightening, dangerous, violent event that poses a threat to child's life or bodily integrity. So a trauma can be frightening, dangerous, and violent, isn't it? So there are different types of traumatic events like childhood abuse, domestic violence, physical abuse, which can frighten a child, which can create a violent behavior in children. So it should be taken as a very important issue, and we should do something about it. So without treatment, repeated childhood exposure to traumatic events can affect the brain and nervous system and increases health risk behaviors. Example, smoking, eating disorders, substance use, and high risk events. So if a child is having a traumatic event, and if he or she is not treated, so it can cause them a loneliness in them, and it can result in smoking, depression, and they can also use alcoholic substances, they can use drugs also. So this is a very important issue, and it should be taken as a very important issue by the government, and action should be taken for the well-being of children. And at last, close monitoring of children, assessing their health, being friendly, praise good behaviors and punish for bad behaviors. Make your child understand what is good and bad. Let your child explore such interventions, helps to prevent trauma. So what can help these children is the close interactions with them, asking what's happening in their life, and seeing their behaviors and taking an action when they are doing bad, and if they are doing good, we should praise them so that they don't feel isolated, or they don't feel that they are not connected with their families. And so we should do some actions to prevent these. And we should make them understand what's good and bad, and we should also explore our child's good qualities and bad qualities, and Such interventions can really help to prevent trauma, and I would like to thank everybody who listened to our presentation, and thank you Thangu sir for giving such an opportunity to us. Thank you.